course, everyone knows my views on Adama Traore. Very dangerous player, but very dangerous perhaps without that end product. Obviously, his stats are very poor overall when you look at it. And he went to Barcelona. I think he had a good maybe the first couple of games. He kind of shocked everyone. So, oh, he's really fast and he's really strong. Look what he's doing. And he maybe scored or a couple of assists or something. And everyone went, look at you, gold, you know nothing. And it was like, yeah, and then he just reverted to type after that and didn't really do much for Barcelona for the rest of his loan. So, yeah, I'd imagine unless it's an absolute bargain of a deal, which it may well be, I'd hope they don't. I think Spurs can do better myself. Certainly don't sign him as a wing-back because I think that was not the greatest idea ever. Especially everyone I spoke to around Wolves who was like, defending? A wing-back? Traore? No. So, yeah, I'm sure they'll have a little look at that again. And the other one I know Paratici really likes is Alan Saint-Maximin from Newcastle, there's talk that there's a release clause there. No one seems to have been able to confirm that, but there is talk that there's one. And I'm told that Paratici is a big fan of his as well. Little bit similar in terms of Traore, in terms of end product, maybe not quite being there. How do I put it? I think the best way to describe both of them is really lots of talent and potential, but maybe what they produce and their end product not quite matching that. They both got this ability to do the unpredictable, to do things like, whoa, didn't expect that. And they've both got the ability to beat a man with ease, but it's maybe just at the end of the move, they just don't have that consistency. So maybe one to keep an eye on, Saint-Maximin, especially if there is a release clause and they feel they can get him for a cheap price. Look, do I think he's going to push out any of those front three of Son, Kane and Kulusevski? No. But do I think as a squad player? Of course. You're looking to bolster your squad, compete in all competitions, and maybe in a squad like Tottenham's, maybe he could flourish. But yeah, keep an eye on that one. Keep an eye on it. It's just kind of just little talk at the moment, but I do know that Paratici really likes him. And how old was he, did I say? I think he's 25, I think. He's not old by any means. Obviously can still improve. Interesting to see whether his character's the exact fit for Tottenham. I think he is a bit of a character. And be interesting to see kind of whether he fits that mould exactly for a Conte player. But, we'll see on that one. Of course, Fraser Forster's the other one. Fraser Forster, we know, is going to join the Spurs. Initially, there seemed to be the thinking was maybe it wouldn't be announced until July the 1st, but that's after his contract ends. But I think the current thinking is it may be quite a bit sooner than that, potentially in the next week or two. Well, I've spoken about Fraser Forster before, so I don't need to kind of go into that again. What I find really interesting as well, is about kind of looking into this week, is the pre-season that is coming for the Tottenham players. Oh, they don't know what's coming. Well, they should know what's coming. Those who have trained with Conte in the last 7 months will know what's coming. Oh my goodness, it's going to be like a pre-season they have never experienced before. Conte and his coaches, Constantino Carati, Gian Piero Ventroni, Stefano Bruno, all his main three fitness coaches. Oh my goodness, they're going to run them into the ground. They really are. I watched a little bit of again the other day because I wanted to remind myself exactly what he said. If you want a nice little insight into what the top players think about Conte's pre-season, All or Nothing, the Amazon documentary, but on Juventus rather than Spurs. In the first episode, about 15 to 20 minutes in, it's about Andrea Pirlo's first season as a coach. He's working with the Juve players, and in pre-season, they all look a bit knackered and they're complaining. One of his coaches says to him as they're walking off the training pitches, they say, "Anyway, players are always complaining." And Pirlo says back, "Sure, I don't give a crap that they complain. If they saw what we did with Conte, they'd kill themselves. There were people on the ground." And it's like, that is Pirlo, one of the top players in the history of football, and he still shudders when he thinks about a Conte pre-season. it's all about, from what we understand, like kind of high intensity drills, extreme fitness work, but done in a concentrated amount of time. So it's really pushing them in this really short space of time until they feel like their lungs are going to burst. It's like almost testing their limits and everything. And they are going to be knackered. And if you think about it, he's been able to vastly improve their fitness around matches. So like Harry Kane has said that he's the fittest he's ever been in his career. And this is the thing as well. Poch was a tough taskmaster. His training sessions, his double sessions were grueling. His pre-seasons were knackering. You've probably heard me say before, and Ondembele told me once when I interviewed him that he actually thought about leaving Spurs just a few weeks after joining because of how hard Poch's pre-season training was. And Conte is meant to be a whole other level on top of that. So yeah, Kane says he's the fittest he ever is. Joe Rodon, really interestingly, this week. Bearing in mind he's only played 10 matches for Spurs this season. He's been going away with Wales and being like one of the fittest players. And he said this week, when people ask him how, he said, the gaffer at Tottenham, he works us all very hard. I can only thank the staff and him, of course, for what they've been like with me over the course of the season. They've kept us, even the ones who don't play, in a very good condition, and I think it's a credit to his team, and of course the boys have put in the work as well. It benefits us, of course, and the intensity we train at is very high, and I can only be thankful for the condition he's kept me in. Should also point out, because the Wales connections made me think about it, when I talk about the wingers, people obviously will talk about Gareth Bale. Gareth Bale having left or announced his farewell from Real Madrid. Look, I've spoken to various people on both sides of this. People in Bale's camp, people in Spurs camp, and they both say highly unlikely. And that's kind of everything I've just said. There's the reason why as well. It's the fitness side of things, the demands, the physical stresses on people's body that Conte puts on his players. And Bale, unfortunately, he only played, I think it was 7 times for Real Madrid last season, totaling about 200 minutes. Most of those were like little 3-4 minutes at the end of games. He suffered from back injuries, calf injuries, various other little injury problems, and he was out for a fair old whack of the season. And there's just this understanding that it just wouldn't be the right time for him in his career. I mean, look, a lot depends on tomorrow's match for Wales anyway in the World Cup, and whether he has a World Cup, the first since 1958 for Wales, I think it would be. That obviously would encourage him to keep his career going. But, if they don't win, then there are suggestions maybe he will hang up his boots. But I get the impression, I think we could be looking at a potentially a rather romantic fairy tale ending to his career if he does play on, of going back to Cardiff. I think that could genuinely happen in terms of, he's always told those around him that he'd love to just play one season before he retires at his hometown club, who he'd never played for, his boyhood, hometown club, and play for them, which would be awesome to watch. Let's be honest. I know we'd all love to see Bale back and full stadiums, doing what he does, scoring goals, and I've seen people saying, "Oh, just buy him, just be able to bring off the bench." Like the money he would cost per week just to bring off the bench. No, it doesn't work like that. And still, even under Mourinho and Ryan Mason, he was so carefully having to manage his training time and his minutes on the pitch, and it just doesn't work like that under Conte. Conte won't have players like that. Every player has to give him their absolute maximum every match, 90 minutes plus, and their bodies have to be able to handle that. But yeah, I think with Cardiff, that would be a real fairy tale. That would be awesome to watch. It really would.